Hi, friends. Hey, welcome to the Red Bank Public Library. I'm Sira Williams. I'm the children's librarian here, and I'm excited for today. We're going to have a really super duper great program because both the author and illustrator of this book, it's called Betsy's Secret. They're going to talk to us today and help us kick off National Library Week. And National Library Week is when we say, hooray for libraries and library workers because of all of the awesome services that they provide to our community. And so the theme for National Library Week this year is connect to your library. So I want to know, do you even realize all of the great things that the library has to offer you? I know you can think of one thing that the library has. Books, and more books. But what else do we have? Let's think about it. We have 24/7 access to digital content like streaming movies and music and ebooks. We have databases that you can use to help you study or do work. And you know what else we have? Programs. So many programs for both adults and kids, in person and online, just like this one. So I want to challenge you, wherever you are watching this from. You might be here in New Jersey, but you could also be in Massachusetts or Florida or even California. You could be anywhere in this world, but your challenge is to connect to your library, okay? All right, so now we're going to get ready to hear a reading of this book. Again, it's called Betsy's Secret, and the person who's going to read it for us is the author. Her name is Patty Prevosti. And then we're going to talk to her afterwards and find out more about it. And we're also going to be joined by the illustrator. Her name is Jaime K. Pfisterer. And here we call her Miss Jaime because she's one of our librarians at the Red Bank Public Library. So you know we really love this story. And so now I want you to pay attention to the story. Keep your eye on Miss Jaime's illustrations, and then stay tuned for a conversation with Miss Patty and Miss Jaime to find out exactly what it took to make this book. Here we go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Patty Prevosti, and I am so excited to have the opportunity to be able to read to you my new book called Betsy's Secret. Betsy and her mom hop into the car heading for school. They recently moved from the city to a town by the shore. Betsy is starting third grade in her new school. She hugs her backpack, trying to control the butterflies in her stomach. Betsy has a secret she doesn't want anyone in school to find out. Mom hums along with the radio as Betsy thinks about second grade in her old school. Everyone in her class was able to read, reading books with pictures and even reading chapter books. Everyone, that is, except for Betsy. When Betsy tried to read, the letters seemed to be like a jumbled mess, and she had so much trouble remembering the letter sounds. This made her feel dumb, so she doesn't want anyone to know. Since she was little, Betsy and her mom have read books together. They have read Bailey Takes a Trip, a book about a puppy getting lost, so many times that Betsy has memorized every word on the pages. Sometimes she would bring this book to class so she could read the books like her friends. Why do you always read the same book? The kids in class would ask. Because it's my favorite, Betsy would answer. Mom gives Betsy a hug. Don't forget this, Betsy, handing her the book. Betsy sticks it in her backpack and heads into school. She walks down the hallway and finds room 312. She peers inside and spots an empty desk. As she sits down, the girl in the seat next to her looks up. Hi, I'm Jasmine. I like your backpack. She is smiling, and Betsy smiles back. She has already made a friend. Miss Reynolds is Betsy's new teacher, and she smiles a lot. Let's get ready to learn, she says every morning after announcements. The next day during a geography lesson, Jasmine sighs in frustration. They have started learning about the states on a U.S. map, but she is struggling with remembering where each state goes. Whenever Miss Reynolds says, I need a volunteer to come up to the smartboard, Betsy's hand is raised the highest. Even though reading is hard for her, remembering where the states are on a map is easy. If Miss Reynolds reads her the names, Betsy knows where to place them on the map. Her face lights up when Miss Reynolds tells her, great job. When Betsy goes back to her seat, Jasmine whispers, how'd you do that? I don't know. It's easy for me to remember, Betsy tells her. Here, let me help you. As Jasmine points to the states she is having trouble with, Betsy helps her fill in her map. Writing is hard for Betsy too, since she doesn't spell very well, but with the state names written down next to the map, she's able to copy them down slowly. Afterwards, it's time for reading, the subject that Betsy hates the most. She struggles to keep up, especially when it's a news story. The letters don't make sense most of the time and look like a jumbled mess. She gets the same knot in her stomach every day. It's so hard hiding her secret. She realizes that Miss Reynolds is calling people by rows to read. Betsy isn't even paying attention to the story. She is busy trying to figure out what part in the story she's going to be asked to read out loud. Soon, Betsy is called on to read. She looks at the page. The girl went to the store. Miss Reynolds helps. Store. Betsy's face feels hot now. To buy flowers for her mom, whispers Jasmine. Buy flowers for her mom, Betsy says quickly. Relief washes over her when Miss Reynolds asks for a volunteer to finish reading the page. Betsy keeps her nose in her book for the rest of the story. There's whispering and giggling behind her. She hears, that story was so easy. Why couldn't she read it? Suddenly the bell rings for lunch. Everyone rushes to get their lunches and heads out to the lunchroom. Betsy stays in her seat. Tears start streaming down her face. Miss Reynolds dismisses the class and then comes over to her. Betsy, what's wrong? She asks. I can't read. I'm just a big dummy. She cries and puts her head back down on her desk. She just wants to disappear. Now everyone knows her secret. Miss Reynolds sits down next to Betsy. Betsy, you're a very smart girl. Look at what a great job you did when you were studying the map. But when I read, it's just so hard. Some words are, but so many words, I don't know what they say. Everybody learns differently, Betsy. There are different ways to learn to read, different from the ways you've been shown so far. But that's okay. I'm going to talk to Mr. Newman, our school reading specialist, and see what he says. The next day, Betsy meets with Mr. Newman. He has her do things like read letter cards and lists of words. He takes lots of notes. He tells Betsy, this is just to see what you know and what skills we need to work on to make you a stronger reader. We will work together. Later that week, Mr. Newman and Miss Reynolds have a meeting with Betsy's mom. They tell her that Betsy has something called dyslexia. It's nothing bad. It just means that her brain understands letters and their sounds differently than a lot of other people. It's not that she can't learn to read. She just needs to learn to read in a way that is different from what teachers have tried before. Betsy still feels unsure, but Mr. Newman says, starting tomorrow, you'll be having reading class with me, Betsy. The next day, she goes to Mr. Newman's class for reading. When she gets to the class, Betsy notices that other kids are there too. I guess I'm not the only one who needs help with reading, she thinks to herself. Every day in class, they do all kinds of reading activities with Mr. Newman. After a few weeks, Betsy starts to feel successful. She can sound out and read more and more words. Wow, this isn't as hard as it used to be. At night, when Mom and Betsy read together, Betsy now does most of the reading. Her mom tells her she's so proud of her. Betsy feels proud of herself, too. Betsy no longer has a knot in her stomach when she's in class. She feels like it's a little bit easier to follow along with what they're reading in class. And if she needs a little help, nobody laughs. Miss Reynolds talked to the class about how everybody learns differently. She told us we need to not only respect people who might look different from us, but also people who learn differently from us. She says we all have special gifts to share. Social studies is still Betsy's favorite subject because it's easy for her and she can help her friends with their maps. It feels good. Jasmine and Betsy are now reading buddies in class. She helps Betsy when she struggles with a word. Betsy even tries to help Jasmine sometimes because that's what friends do for each other. Every day, Betsy works with Mr. Newman. Then one day in class, she raises her hand to read out loud. When she finishes, she has tears in her eyes, but this time they are tears of joy. All her hard work has paid off. No more secrets to hide. Now she feels success, and that is something that makes Betsy very proud. So this story is fiction, but it was inspired by my own daughter, Betsy, and her struggles with reading. But through hard work and great teachers, just like Miss Reynolds and Mr. Newman in this story, she was able to become a good reader. And today, she's in college studying business. Well, thank you for taking the time to read along with me, my book, Betsy's Secret. And I hope you will, when you have a chance and at Red Bank Public Library, you'll check out this book and read it again and again. Thanks. Bye.
Hey, thank you so much, Patty, for reading your story for us. It's really nice to see you here today.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
And also with us is Miss Jaime. Hi, Jaime.
Yeah. Hi, everybody.
I want to ask you guys a few questions about what it was like to write this book. So first, Patty, I understand that you are a teacher. Is that correct?
Yes, I am a teacher and I actually specialize in working with students with dyslexia and other reading challenges. So.
Okay, so I wanted to give you an opportunity to shout out your school.
Oh, okay. So it's proud to be Millstone, Millstone Public Schools, and I'm at Millstone Middle School. Great place.
Awesome. So as a specialist and as a parent, how did you know that your daughter was having trouble reading? I noticed when she was coming home from school, she was very frustrated. She could not do the homework. And I would get reports from the teacher that when things were read to the class, she did beautifully. She was able to understand, she was able to answer questions, but when it came down to the reading herself is where it kind of fell apart. And she actually wasn't diagnosed right away. I wasn't at the time, I didn't have the expertise that I have right now. So one of the reasons why I ended up deciding to go back to school to study it was because of my daughter. So she struggled for a number of years before she finally got the correct diagnosis. Wow. So. So why did you want to share her story and your story with other people through this book?
I thought it was really important because I never wanted another child to feel the way she felt. Betsy felt dumb. It was really changing who she was as a person. She was becoming angry and because she was just so frustrated. And I wanted other kids to realize they're not the only ones that go through this. There's a lot of kids. There's, they say up to 15 to 20% of the population has some form of dyslexia. So it is not something that is just one or two people. It's a struggle that a lot of people go through, and she felt like she was alone. And there was nothing readily for me to say, here, take a look at this. This is someone like you. So
Yeah, it's so great that the kids can get help once they get the help that they need. That's like a life changer, right?
literally it was, yes. When she was in 6th grade, she teacher, Mrs. Hankins was her name, and she's since retired, but she took her under her wing, and yes, all of a sudden Betsy realized, that she could do it. But this story was inspired by her, but it's fictional. But a lot of the things the same with Betsy, like she didn't want other people to know she was struggling with. She didn't want them to know that she had to go to this other class, because to her, nobody else was like that. Nobody else was struggling the way she was. That's what she thought. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, she's doing great now. She's in college, and she's doing wonderful.
that's almost tear jerking. I think it really made me cry when I got to the end of the story. So how did you find Jaime to be your illustrator?
Well, Jaime is a former student at Millstone. And I was talking to our librarian, Sharon Q-Tub, and I was discussing my book because I had written a version earlier and I just wasn't happy with it, and I wasn't happy with the illustrations. And I said, I really need somebody that I think will really care about this, project, because it's so important to me. And she said, I think I know somebody. And she gave me Jaime's contact info, and the rest is history.
So Jaime, what was that like when you got that call, and what was it like to illustrate this book?
Oh my goodness, like I felt really honored, but I also felt like oh, am I really capable of doing this? Like I was a little scared at first, but I really connected with the story because I have auditory processing disorder, so it's kind of like hearing dyslexia. So I kind of connected with the story, and I was like, like I should try to go for it. Like,
That's so cool. But you are an artist, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, I just haven't never been like really published, so it's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So this is a really big step for me.
So tell me, what kind of what kind of method did you use for these illustrations? Because it looks
Yeah,
like maybe they were done on the computer. How did you do
yeah,
that?
yeah. So first, I did drawings, and I would show them to Patty, and then like and we'd go over and try and see if that went with the story, and if things need to be changed. You could see like there's some like kind of like
Wow.
alteration that's not exact,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and it's like, as I go through, there was like different things like oh oops, I accidentally had Betsy and Jasmine sitting on the wrong side of the table. I need to fix that, because in all the other pictures they're out in the front right here, and I had to
Oh,
recalibrate everything. But yeah, like so I would do it in pencil, and then I would scan it into the computer, and then I would do like the inking and the coloring all on Photoshop.
wow. That's pretty neat. Well, it came out great. It came out great. Do you guys have any other books in mind that you want to work on? Either one of you?
Well, we did talk about possibly doing one with the main character with the auditory processing. So
Yeah.
definitely books where people feel like they need their story shared, you know, that
Uh-huh.
so we would definitely collaborate again, you know, we've talked about
Yeah.
that.
That's
Yeah, it's
awesome. I'm definitely an advocate for sharing stories because when we do that, we learn that we all have so much in common and there really are a lot of other people out there like us. And we don't have to be alone in the things that we're going through. So, of course, when you do that, we'll take that story too and put it in the library. So I want to make
Yes.
sure our friends know that they can check this book out at the Red Bank Public Library. And also you can buy it for yourself and have it in your own collection. You can buy it online, right?
Yes, you
I
can.
think it would be great for kids to practice their own reading by reading this story at home. So thank you both so much for joining us today. And I wish you a happy National Library Week.
Same to you.
Take
It was so
care.
nice to
Thank
meet
you.
you guys.
It was really nice to meet you. Congratulations on your
Thank you.
excellent book.
Thank you.